Hello, ladies. So we are on day 18, and this is one of my favorite exercises that I love to do. So it's called Get in Your Body. It's a meditation exercise that is derived from a very interesting experience that I had. So we're going to go back in time. I believe it was this last summer I did this. So I went to a Vipassana retreat, right? So Vipassana was a really interesting, challenging, simply amazing experience, and it was definitely needed at the time. I had gone through some kind of like really traumatic stuff like a few months prior, and I wanted to kind of figure out, like, being the person who studied neuroscience and just really likes to push and like find new levels of myself and all of this. What I wanted to do was figure out how to deal with this trauma and go forwards without resorting to certain methods that I did not want to resort to at the time, because I had done so in college and discovered that it wasn't necessarily helping me get better. It was more of a band-aid. So this new recent trauma was so bad, it was just something I could not stop ruminating on. It made me miserable thinking about it. It was awful, okay? Just terrible experience, right? I'm sure we've all had that big T trauma. And so what I essentially had the opportunity to do was to go and sit for 10 days, no speaking, no access to my phone, nothing, no communication whatsoever, and simply draw in to my inner worlds. And that experience was incredible. I love talking. I like to talk. And, there are just certain things that I did not understand. I would struggle living without. And that was one of them, okay? So I didn't talk for about 10 days. There was a time where I kind of had to, but other than that, it was a consistent silent retreat, right? So what we essentially did was go into our body, and I will show you the smaller version of this, the diluted version of this, but I want to give you some reasons why you should do it, right? So as you may have caught on by now, I studied neuroscience, and I absolutely love that we can, study the brain now. It's a very young area of, study, and there are so many things that we're discovering in this day and age, right? So we definitely should be doing Vipassana, every single one of us. I'm not sure if anyone's necessarily ready for 10 days of silence, but it's definitely something I would consider just building on, right? So reason number one, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, okay? So when you're having an activation in your sympathetic nervous system, you are in fight or flight mode, okay? You are like just really aggro. You're aggravated, okay? And what you're doing, essentially going into your parasympathetic nervous system, you're getting out of fight or flight and you're going into rest and digest, okay? So in rest and digest, we have lower cortisol levels, we have a more regulated blood pressure and heart rate, and we have an enhanced digestion and immune function. And it's pretty great for us because obviously if we're not being chased by a lion, we don't need our systems going off like we're being chased by a lion. Otherwise, we may develop disease, right? So reason number two is that it strengthens your neuroplasticity, right? So regular practice actually increases the gray matter in your brain, and in the particular areas that it does so in is your prefrontal cortex, which is all about decision making, right? It's all about focus. Your anterior cingulate cortex, right? So that one's about self-regulation, so just emotional regulation in general, that type of thing. And the density also increases in your hippocampus. I can't say words. Your hippocampus, right? So that's in charge of your memory and your learning. So you're getting smarter, you're getting calmer, right? Like, that's amazing, right? So your brain is adjusting to this. This isn't just a temporary thing when you practice this regularly. This is something that builds up over time and actually changes the structure of your brain, right? So I would say you'd want to do this, right? So number 3, it also quiets your mind wandering, your self-referential thoughts, those things that just like eat at you, those thoughts that, I don't know, people call them like impulsive thoughts, or like, I forget what the term is, like the popular term or whatever, but pretty much it just enhances the greater awareness of the present moment. And that's obviously something we want, because we're not trying to be anxious, thinking about the future too much, or depressed, where we may be thinking about the past too much. We want to be right here in the present moment, right? So this also, it improves your cognitive flexibility. So rather than thinking about, things that you're not necessarily willing yourself to think about, you're now having more control over what you're thinking about. And in turn, your flexibility is greater, because you're not hardwired to be thinking about, I don't know, your mistake that you made 10 years ago, or like last week, or ruminating on something else, So another reason why you want that, right? So another reason is that it boosts your vagal tone. So all of us have a vagus nerve, right? So it helps us regulate our emotions, helps us improve our social connection and our empathy with each other. And it also lowers inflammation in the body, which we already talked about in previous days. Inflammation being a huge, huge, huge factor in those huge issues like obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. We want to make sure that the big 3 don't have any chance, or at least a reduced chance, of manifesting in your body, right? Because we prioritize health and wellness over here. So then reason number 5 is that it shrinks your amygdala, okay? So it'll pretty much be, as a result, improving your emotional resilience, which is a huge one. And it'll give you a more balanced response to challenges, right? So this is just, pretty obvious, I think, to all of us. We want to make sure that we are being resilient in life. We have so many people that we're involved with. We go to the bank, we're talking to a person. We're at home, we're talking with who we live with. We, do a thing at our alma mater. Like, we're always having relationships, and we want to make sure that we're in that state of resilience and empathy and all the good things that we want to manifest in our relationships, right? And last but not least, we want to naturally increase GABA and serotonin. So here's another one that, a lot of people aren't really aware of. Meditation simply changes your brain in positive ways, and one of those ways is in boosting those neurotransmitters that a lot of people may be struggling with. It can reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression, which often are manifestations of having low levels of these neurotransmitters. And it also promotes relaxation and enhances your overall well-being, okay? So those are a ton of reasons why you want to get started on this particular meditative practice. So again, I will not be sitting here on YouTube for 10 hours or 10 days with you meditating, then practicing Vipassana, but there is a way where you can quickly do it for, maybe 5-10 minutes. And the easiest way would be simply to close your eyes and bring your attention to the top of your head. Feel the entire surface. Starting out, we're only starting at the surface. We're not going inside our body. So we're really just feeling the skin around the crown of our head, down the front, down the back, down the sides, over your face, the back of your head, your neck, your shoulders, both your arms, your chest, your back, just all the way down the skin, the surface area of your body, down to your toes. And then we bring that back up from your toes, all the way up your legs, up your hips, up your back, front, fingertips, arms, back up to the crown, right? We want to focus on that surface area first. And when you're comfortable, you want to start going internally, like feeling in your brain. I know that sounds so crazy, but like just feeling inside your head, feeling inside your neck, just focusing on every cell of your body, really connecting to that, and not attaching any emotions or any, you know, meaning to to the sensations that you're feeling. Pretty much, you're really just letting all of the cells in your body pass the energy through that it is holding on to, or maybe it's just literally passing through your body. You want to pay attention to the sensations, but you don't necessarily want to dig into the meaning or anything like that. So Vipassana is an amazing practice. I personally have been doing it since I've been there, not for as long. It was recommended that you do it for an hour every day at least, and that would be morning and it would be night as well. However, I found that it is more sustainable for myself to practice it for about 5-10 minutes a day. It really helps me just get into my body, get into the present moment, really bring that focus internally, gets me into my parasympathetic nervous system. It's just, it's a gold mine, okay? So, excuse me, I hope that you really enjoy this practice. I hope that it helps, and I hope that you are doing great with this challenge. We have a few days left, and I wish you the very best. All right, bye.